Okay, so this is a review of the Sharper Image PowerBoost boots. And I got this from not Sharper Image, I got it from Costco.com. And what intrigued me was that these retail at places like Best Buy and maybe Home Shopping Network for $400, and Costco had them for $250, which is cheap. But then they had a sale for them at $199. So I wanted to try them, and the reviews look good. And I am a longtime owner of a set of Normatec 1.0s. They are currently on the third version, Normatec 3, having jumped from 2 to 3 in a very short amount of time. But version 1 to 2 took a long time, and I think the purchase of Normatec by Hyper Ice sped that up. And so with these, I had a great benchmark, and keep in mind Normatecs are the benchmark, the gold standard benchmark for all recovery boots that they're compared to. It has eight levels of adjustment and compression and a turbo mode to fill up in, and it's just, this thing oozes quality. I don't use it all that much, to be honest, and the reason why I got these, I used them a lot, the Normatecs a lot in the very beginning of my training, because I just wasn't conditioned enough and was frankly needing recovery as much as possible and as quickly as possible. And but since then, I've moved on to just a little more passive recovery, like sleep, and using rollouts, and in the interim I was using EMS, but that's getting off the point. And the idea here was, the reason why I tried these Sharper Image ones is because my wife was using my Normatecs, and she's a little bit shorter than me, and frankly the Normatec boot, the original boot, was kind of designed for a large range of human being, between someone 6'2" to 5'6", and that's a huge range in inseam. And it's great for me because I like how it comes up all the way up to my groin, and it just gives me maximum compression of my leg. But for my wife, it was a little bit too long. And these Sharper Image boots come in two different lengths, one for a smaller inseam and a larger inseam. And I got the small because I wanted to try these with her. And so with the PowerBoost boots, compared to my Normatec 1.0, the Normatecs really didn't have any different programs. And it's just basically intensity that you can ramp up, and that was fine. I loved it. But now, with advances in design, a lot of different manufacturers have recovery boots with different programs, and in this case, you have a pulse, gradual, sequence zones, and then a manual one which you can customize. So this is the control unit. You have pulse, gradual, sequential zones, and then a manual setting, if you can see that. And one of my complaints with the control unit is no one likes to read manuals, is that it's not exactly intuitive. There's a lot going on here, maybe not a whole lot, but there's a lot going on here, and it's not as intuitive as I would wish. And for example, the Normatec's just dead simple. You can just increase the pressure and that's it. You can't really do that here, and you really have to read the manual to understand what these different little buttons here mean. And one of them's for mode. One of them's for the timer, one of the mode timer, and then the other one is to set the amount of intensity or pressure, and then you use the buttons going up here. What I don't like about it, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time with this, and so people that have experience with this can explain to me, but again, in my belief, something like this should be just idiot-proof and very simple to navigate. You really shouldn't have to read a manual. What is nice, having read the manual, was that the one feature that these have that the Normatecs do not have, and Normatec 1.0 does not have, is that these actually vacuum out the air when it's done. You're done using them. And whenever you turn the unit off or start to tell it you want to turn it off, it doesn't turn off immediately. And so when you first use it, you're like, wait, what's going on? Why isn't it turning off? And why does it feel like it's deflating? It seems like it's going through a cycle of like a sequential cycle. But what it's doing is actually turning itself off. And then before it turns itself off, it's sucking all the air out of the sleeves, which is why that's nice, is that it makes it much easier to store. And that is actually one of the cool features of these boots, is that they are very easy to store, and they're almost like self-fold, if that makes any sense, and that you want, it really is very easy to roll these up. And what's nice about them, where the Normatecs do not like to be stored, and basically need to be hung, because they actually have little, very strong hanging loops. But if you're watching, what I'm doing here is rolling it, and it actually has straps which you can latch. I mean, that's kind of cool. And if you had to, you can kind of stow this hose underneath the strap here. I guess I show on the camera. And voila! So you have this unit. And then you have this unit. It would have been, in a perfect world, what I would do with this if I were to take it to races, is just run this off of, since it is powered off of 120 or 240, depending what country you're in, just run it off a inverter, a battery powered inverter. I've got Ryobi 40 volt battery pack inverters, and it should not take that much power. And that's pure sine wave, 36 watts, not very much at all. But that would be the killer app. But yeah, that's one thing that's nice about these. It deflates them. So when the cycle's all done, and this is, you don't have to wait for it to turn off. I guess you could slide your legs out and just walk away and let the unit finish doing its thing, and then you can just roll these things up, come back a few minutes later, roll things up, and put them away. Whereas the Normatec, this is 1.0. Keep in mind, it's not that bulky, but you still got to squeeze the air out. And then, I don't know if the hoses like to be rolled up too much. But that's one feature I like about these. Okay, as far as compression, the amount of compression that these have, that was the main thing. My concern, having the Normatec as the gold standard. And I have to say, these have exceeded my expectations wildly. They are vice-like. And I think I had it up to, I think, 3, and that's enough for me. 4 would have been very, very, very uncomfortable. And the inseam length is more than adequate for someone with a 29.5 inseam, 5'6". It does come up pretty high, but it comes up basically to my inseam. The start of my inseam, where the Normatecs are a little bit longer, since it's more designed for someone 5'8" to 6 foot tall, and it comes up a little bit higher, which is a complaint for some if you're shorter than me. But for me, I like it. But I have no complaints about the sharper image, the amount of millimeters of mercury that they can compress. There's I don't know if you can notice, but there's these bungee cords, and I think that the idea of that is to try to keep this thing from billowing too much, and it kind of gives it a little bit of support, but it's not really necessarily for adjustment's sake. So there's really no adjustment to it. And it's zippered, so if you had to get out of these quickly, you could. They are very well built, as far as I can tell. In fact, the Cordura nylon they use is really heavy duty. There's nothing that says to me, for these being $199, that it screams like these are cheap compared to the whatever $700, $800 Normatec 3s. How much do these cost now? But I like these. Read the manual. I wish that, again, that they made the control unit a little bit easier to navigate. But that said, the UI is not great, but it's a good looking a good looking control unit. I mean, it's as far as aesthetics, it's very nice. It's just a little too minimalist for me because, again, it's not as intuitive as it could be, but it's against a Nagel for $200. Whether or not I'm going to keep these, actually, I don't know, because the control unit is a little bit big. I kind of wanted to travel with these, and on the same token, let my wife use them, and the Normatec just might be enough for her. So these don't really add any value to me. But in my case, that's my case. If you were getting started, I would highly recommend these because the compression is going to be plenty for, I think, everyone. Whereas I reviewed some FitKing wireless compression sleeves and it just wasn't enough compression. Where these will basically burst all the air, all the blood out of your legs and into your head. But in my case, I don't know if it's going to work for me because if it's even worth it, even at $200. Because like I said, I already have the Normatecs, but for someone else starting, I would not hesitate to recommend these to anyone because they're just really just nice boots. It's kind of funny being a child of the 80s. Sharper Image was like the brand, and it kind of lost its luster over the last 35 years or so. But you know, in their catalog of stuff now, I don't know who bought the name, but they've got some pretty cool stuff. You know, it's just really tough market now. But I get, in this case, these are really nice, especially if you can get them for $250. Even better if you can get them for $200. And again, I just like how it just kind of just folds flat like that, just with ease, and just kind of wants to just naturally roll itself up. And in that, I really appreciate that. So there's really no complaints of these, reasonable complaints you can have with these because they check all the boxes. And you really can't, I don't think you can get much better for the price. And knowing, if you got it from Costco, especially, you know, you have that added protection of knowing that they will honor any kind of warranty issues if anything happens. Okay, in folding this stuff up post-review, again, it's just the hardware's nice, everything, it's quality built, you don't feel like you're about to break anything. And what I like about it, again, is the hardware to clasp it together. But it also has a little D-ring hook system that allows you to hook these together. And that's just frankly a nice touch, right? Because it just kind of encourages you to pack everything away. And the head unit, control unit, is not that big. Wish it could be a little bit smaller, but it is what it is. And, you know, you need a large enough pump to pump up quickly. Otherwise, then people are going to complain it's too slow. And everything just detaches. And so then you just have the head unit and the 12 volt, I believe, adapter. Yeah, 12 volt adapter. Yeah, but it's very nice. Oops, very nice. Yeah, that's my review of the Sharper Image PowerBoost boots. Thanks for watching.